Before the empires of Rome, before the rise of Europe, there was Persia, a civilization born from rugged mountains and sweeping deserts. Persia would grow into one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. From humble beginnings as scattered tribes in ancient Iran, the Persian Empire rose to dominate a territory stretching from the Aegean Sea to the Indus Valley. Its rulers, its ideas, and its culture would shape history for millennia. Under leaders like Cyrus the Great, Persia became not just an empire of conquest, but an empire of respect and tolerance, a radical idea for its time. Cyrus's decree, now preserved in the Cyrus cylinder, speaks of freedom and human rights, echoing into modern times. This is a story of vision and resilience. From the Golden Age under Darius the Great, who built Persepolis and organized the empire into satrapies, to legendary battles with the Greeks at Marathon and Thermopylae, Persia stood as both conqueror and cultural beacon, but empires rise and fall. Alexander the Great would burn Persepolis. Yet Persia endured. Through the Parthian and Sasanian empires, Persian culture evolved, resisting Roman expansion, creating art, science, and philosophy that would influence the Islamic world and beyond. Even after the Arab conquest and the spread of Islam, Persia's identity lived on, through poets like Rumi and Hafiz, through architecture, and through enduring traditions like Nowruz, the Persian New Year. In this documentary, we will travel through the full history of the Persian Empire, from its earliest days to its lasting legacy. From kings and conquerors to philosophers and poets, this is the story of a civilization where empire met enlightenment, where power met wisdom, and where history meets the present day. Join us now, as we explore the entire history of the Persian Empire. In the heart of the Iranian plateau, among mountains and arid plains, a small kingdom once thrived, Anshan, home to the ancient Persians. From this unassuming corner of the world, a new kind of empire would rise. Its architect was a man whose name would echo through history, Cyrus II of Persia, remembered as Cyrus the Great. Born around 600 BCE, Cyrus was descended from Achaemenid, founder of the Achaemenid dynasty. Yet he was no ordinary prince. Legend speaks of omens at his birth, prophecies foretelling a ruler destined to unite the Persian tribes and conquer mighty empires. At the time, the powerful Median Empire ruled over the Persian tribes. But Cyrus, uniting rival clans under his leadership, staged a revolt around 550 BCE. His army, though smaller, was fiercely loyal and strategically brilliant. Victory over the Medes not only freed the Persians but also laid the cornerstone of a new empire. In a defining moment of history, Cyrus absorbed the Median territories without destroying them. Instead of crushing his enemies, he offered inclusion, a policy that would become the hallmark of Persian rule. Next, Cyrus turned west toward Lydia, ruled by King Croesus, a monarch famed for his wealth. The Lydian army, heavily armored and confident, fell to Persian ingenuity and determination. By 546 BCE, Lydia was part of Cyrus's growing empire. But Cyrus's greatest achievement came in 539 BCE, the conquest of Babylon. Babylon was the jewel of Mesopotamia, a city of immense wealth and prestige, yet, remarkably, Cyrus took Babylon without major bloodshed. According to ancient accounts, his forces entered the city peacefully, welcomed by many as liberators. Following his conquest, Cyrus issued one of history's most significant documents, the Cyrus cylinder. This clay artifact records his respect for local religions and customs. Cyrus allowed exiled peoples, such as the Jews, to return to their homelands and rebuild their temples, an unprecedented act in ancient times. The Cyrus cylinder is today considered by some as the world's first human rights charter. Under Cyrus the Great, Persia now controlled territories stretching across modern-day Iran, Iraq, Turkey, parts of Central Asia, and India. It was the largest empire the world had seen up to that point, but Cyrus was not just a conqueror. He was a builder, a lawgiver, and a visionary. In Pasargadae, his capital city, Cyrus commissioned palaces, gardens, and monumental architecture blending styles from across his empire. Persian design, characterized by grand columns, ornate reliefs, and beautiful gardens, began to take shape here. Pasargadae stood as a symbol of unity in diversity, a new vision of empire. Today, the tomb of Cyrus the Great still stands. Simple yet elegant, it embodies both power and humility. On its ancient stones, an inscription speaks directly to history: "O man, whoever you are and wherever you come from, I am Cyrus, who founded the empire of the Persians. Do not grudge me this bit of earth that covers my body." Cyrus's reign ended in 530 BCE, but his legacy was immortal. His successors would expand what he had begun, building an empire defined by both military might and moral governance. It was Cyrus who showed the world that an empire could be vast, powerful, and humane. After Cyrus the Great laid the foundation of the Persian Empire, it was his successors who would shape it into a true powerhouse of the ancient world. Among these rulers, none was more influential than Darius I, known to history as Darius the Great. Darius ascended to the throne in 522 BCE after a period of turmoil and civil war. His reign marked the beginning of an era of stability, innovation, and expansion that historians often call the Golden Age of the Achaemenid dynasty. One of Darius's most revolutionary reforms was the creation of satrapies, provincial administrations governed by satraps appointed by the king. This system allowed Persia to govern a vast and diverse empire stretching from the Aegean Sea in the west to the Indus Valley in the east, ensuring local customs were respected while maintaining loyalty to the central authority. To support this massive empire, Darius introduced standardized taxation and created an efficient system for collecting revenues. The empire flourished economically as trade routes expanded and commerce thrived. Perhaps the most famous achievement of Darius was the construction of the Royal Road, an extensive network of roads spanning over 2,500 kilometers. This arterial highway connected the empire's farthest corners, enabling messengers, traders, and armies to move with unprecedented speed and efficiency. Herodotus, the Greek historian, famously noted that Persian couriers were so well organized that neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor darkness could stop them from delivering the king's messages. Darius also introduced standardized coinage, the gold daric and silver siglos, which facilitated trade across the empire's vast markets. This was a significant step toward unifying the economy and supporting the empire's growing wealth. Under Darius's patronage, the ceremonial capital of Persepolis rose from the earth, a city that embodied the empire's grandeur and cultural diversity. Persepolis was more than just a royal palace, it was a symbol of imperial unity. Its magnificent architecture blended styles from across the empire, with artistic influences from Persia, Median, Babylonian, and Egyptian traditions. The reliefs at Persepolis famously depict delegates from every corner of the empire, each bringing tribute in their own traditional dress. This art celebrated the diversity of the empire and the power of its ruler to unite disparate peoples. Religion played a central role during this golden age. Zoroastrianism, the ancient Persian faith founded by the prophet Zarathustra, emphasized the cosmic struggle between good and evil. Ahura Mazda, the god of light and truth, versus Engra Mainyu, the destructive spirit. Darius championed Zoroastrianism as the state religion, commissioning fire temples and positioning himself as the protector of truth and justice. To legitimize his rule and record his achievements, Darius commissioned the Benistan inscription, a monumental relief carved into a cliff in western Iran, written in 3 languages, Old Persian, Elamite, and Babylonian. The inscription details his rise to power and the suppression of revolts, and later became a vital key for deciphering cuneiform script. Despite these internal achievements, Darius's reign was marked by conflict beyond the empire's borders. In 490 BCE, he launched the first Persian invasion of Greece, aiming to subjugate the independent city-states. The campaign culminated in the Battle of Marathon, a defining moment where Persian forces were unexpectedly defeated by a smaller Greek army. Though defeated, Persia's immense power remained undiminished, and the rivalry with Greece would continue under Darius's successors. Darius the Great's reign represents the pinnacle of the Achaemenid Empire, a time when Persia was a beacon of governance, culture, and economic strength. His reforms in administration, infrastructure, and religion not only stabilized an enormous empire but also left a legacy that would influence future civilizations for centuries. As the golden age of the Achaemenid dynasty flourished, new challenges began to stir. The next chapter would bring Persia into direct confrontation with the rising powers of Greece, shaping the course of Western and Eastern history forever. The Persian Empire, vast and powerful, had expanded to the edges of the Greek world. But this sprawling reach would soon bring Persia into direct conflict with the fiercely independent Greek city-states. What followed was a series of epic confrontations known as the Persian Wars, battles that shaped the future of Europe and the ancient world. The conflict began under Darius the Great, who sought to punish the Greek city-states of Athens and Eretria for their support of Ionian revolts against Persian rule. In 490 BCE, Darius launched his first invasion of mainland Greece, sending an army across the Aegean to the plains of Marathon. Despite being outnumbered, the Greek forces, led by the Athenians, met the Persians with unyielding determination. At the Battle of Marathon, the Greeks executed a brilliant tactical maneuver, breaking the Persian lines and delivering a crushing defeat. This victory became a symbol of Greek resilience and a warning to the Persian Empire. Conquering Greece would not be easy. Darius planned to renew the invasion, but his death in 486 BCE postponed Persian ambitions. His successor, Xerxes I, vowed to finish what his father had begun, launching one of the largest military campaigns in ancient history. In 480 BCE, Xerxes led a colossal force across the Hellespont, aiming to subjugate all of Greece. The Persian army marched through Thrace and Macedonia, overwhelming towns and cities, while the mighty Persian navy sailed alongside, controlling the seas. One of the most legendary moments of the Persian Wars occurred at Thermopylae. A small Greek alliance, led by King Leonidas and his 300 Spartan warriors, made a heroic stand against the overwhelming Persian numbers. Though ultimately defeated, their sacrifice inspired the Greeks to continue the fight for their freedom. Following Thermopylae, the Greeks retreated to their cities, preparing for a decisive naval battle. At Salamis, the Greek fleet, though outnumbered, used superior tactics and intimate knowledge of the waters to rout the Persian navy. This victory crippled Persian supply lines and marked a turning point in the wars. The final blow came at Plataea in 479 BCE, where a united Greek army defeated the Persian forces on land, effectively ending the Persian threat to Greece. Though Persia failed to conquer Greece, these wars demonstrated the empire's immense power and the fierce spirit of its opponents. The Persian Wars set the stage for the rise of Athens as a major power and the flowering of classical Greek culture, art, philosophy, and democracy, that would influence the world for centuries. The legacy of the Persian Wars is a testament to the clash of civilizations, where East met West in battles that decided the fate of continents. Persia would continue to face challenges, but its resilience and administrative genius ensured it remained a dominant force for centuries to come. By the late 4th century BCE, the mighty Persian Empire that once stretched from the Aegean to the Indus was showing signs of strain. Internal divisions, court intrigues, and repeated revolts weakened the empire from within. The vastness of the empire made it difficult to control. Some satraps, the provincial governors, began acting with increasing independence. Meanwhile, power struggles at the royal court further destabilized the central authority. The last king of the Achaemenid dynasty, Darius III, inherited this fragile empire in 336 BCE. Though he was a capable leader, Darius faced a new and unprecedented threat from the west. A young Macedonian king named Alexander, Alexander the Great, son of King Philip II of Macedon, had already proven himself a brilliant military commander. In 334 BCE, he launched a bold campaign to conquer the Persian Empire, beginning with his crossing of the Hellespont into Asia Minor. At the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE, Alexander faced Darius III in a decisive encounter. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander's tactics and the discipline of his troops shattered the Persian lines, forcing Darius to flee. Though defeated, Darius escaped and sought to rally his forces for another stand. Alexander pursued relentlessly, capturing key cities, and winning support from some local populations disillusioned with Persian rule. In 331 BCE, the two armies met again at Gaugamela, a battle that would decide the fate of the Persian Empire. Once more, Alexander's superior strategy prevailed. His forces broke through Persian defenses, routing Darius's army completely. Darius fled eastward but was soon betrayed and assassinated by one of his own satraps in 330 BCE. With the death of Darius III, the Achaemenid Empire effectively collapsed. Alexander marched into the Persian ceremonial capital, Persepolis. In a symbolic act, the city was set ablaze, signaling the end of Persian dominance and the rise of a new era, the Hellenistic Age. Though the empire had fallen, Persian culture and administration would endure. blending with Greek influences to shape the civilizations that followed. Alexander's conquest marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another in the story of Persia and the wider ancient world. After the fall of the Achaemenid Empire and the sweeping conquests of Alexander the Great, Persia's glory seemed diminished, yet, from the ashes of the old empire, a new power would rise, the Parthian Empire. Founded by Arsaces I in the mid-3rd century BCE, the Parthians revived Persian sovereignty and resisted foreign domination for centuries. Beginning around 247 BCE, the Parthians capitalized on the fragmentation left by Alexander's successors. Through skillful warfare and diplomacy, they expanded their territory from the Iranian plateau across Mesopotamia, eventually controlling a vast region rivaling the earlier Achaemenid lands. The Parthians were renowned for their mounted archers, expert horsemen who used hit-and-run tactics to devastating effect. This style of warfare made them formidable opponents, especially against the heavily armored Roman legions. One of the Parthians' most famous victories came at the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BCE, where they annihilated a Roman army led by Crassus, one of Rome's wealthiest generals. This battle showcased the Parthians' military prowess and marked the beginning of a long struggle with Rome for control over the Near East. Beyond warfare, the Parthian Empire thrived as a vital hub of commerce. Positioned along the Silk Road, Parthian cities became centers of trade connecting east and west, facilitating the exchange of silk, spices, precious metals, and ideas. The Parthian kings ruled from impressive cities like Hecatompylos and later Ctesiphon, which rivaled even Rome in size and grandeur. Their architecture reflected a blend of Persian, Hellenistic, and Mesopotamian influences, continuing the legacy of imperial sophistication. The Parthians maintained Persian traditions in governance and culture, issuing coins that bore the images of their rulers, a symbol of their legitimacy and continuity with the past. While often at war with Rome, the Parthians also engaged in diplomacy. Their rivalry led to decades of uneasy peace treaties, shifting alliances, and proxy wars, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the ancient world. Life under the Parthians was a tapestry of cultures and religions. Zoroastrianism remained influential, but the empire was home to diverse peoples, including Greeks, Babylonians, Arabs, and others, each contributing to a vibrant cultural mosaic. At its height, the Parthian Empire stood as a powerful counterweight to Rome, preserving Persian independence and traditions for nearly 5 centuries. Their resilience kept the flame of Persian civilization burning through turbulent times. Yet, as time passed, internal divisions and external pressures began to weaken Parthian control. Emerging from these challenges was a new dynasty, the Sasanians, who would usher in Persia's final great imperial era before the advent of Islam. As the Parthian Empire waned in the early 3rd century CE, a new dynasty emerged from the heart of Persia to reclaim imperial glory, the Sasanians. Founded by Ardashir I in 224 CE, the Sasanian Empire would become the last great Persian empire of antiquity, revitalizing Persian culture, military strength, and political power. Ardashir I defeated the Parthian ruler Artabanus IV, establishing the Sasanian dynasty and inaugurating a period of centralized power and cultural renaissance. His reign marked the restoration of Persian identity after centuries of Hellenistic and Parthian influence. The Sasanian Empire grew rapidly, extending its borders across Mesopotamia, the Caucasus, and into Central Asia, rivaling the Roman Empire in wealth and military might. The Sasanians inherited the administrative systems of their predecessors but introduced reforms that strengthened imperial control. Sasanian kings celebrated their divine right to rule through magnificent rock reliefs carved into cliffs, images of royal investiture, triumphs in battle, and divine favor that reinforced their authority. Zoroastrianism was formalized as the state religion under the Sasanians. Fire temples became centers of spiritual and social life. The king, seen as the protector of truth and order, was closely linked with the divine fire, symbolizing the eternal struggle between good and evil. The Sasanian Empire was locked in almost constant rivalry with Rome, and later the Byzantine Empire. Wars over control of Mesopotamia and the Near East defined much of their relationship, with neither side able to secure lasting dominance. Ctesiphon, the imperial capital on the banks of the Tigris, was a jewel of Sasanian power. This city changed hands multiple times during wars with Rome and Byzantium but remained a symbol of Persian resilience. Sasanian art and architecture flourished, Characterized by grand palaces, detailed silverwork, and luxurious textiles, their designs influenced later Islamic art and culture, bridging ancient Persian traditions with new cultural movements. The Sasanians controlled key segments of the Silk Road, facilitating trade between East and West. Their empire was a vital link in the exchange of goods, culture, and ideas, from silk and spices to philosophy and religion. The Sasanian era was a golden age of learning. Centers like Gurdaspur became renowned for medicine, philosophy, and science, drawing scholars from across the ancient world. Under kings like Khosrow I, known as Anushirvan or the Just, the empire underwent reforms in administration, military, and law, promoting justice and efficient governance. His reign is remembered as a pinnacle of Sasanian power and culture. Sasanian military strength was legendary, combining heavy cavalry known as cataphracts with skilled archers and infantry. They were a formidable force that held back Roman advances and protected their empire for centuries. Despite centuries of strength, the Sasanian Empire faced internal strife and external threats. In the early 7th century, a devastating series of wars with the Byzantines drained resources, leaving Persia vulnerable to new forces rising in the Arabian Peninsula. The Arab-Muslim conquests began in the 7th century, and the once mighty Sasanian Empire struggled to resist. The Battle of Qadisiyah in 636 CE marked a critical defeat, leading to the fall of Ctesiphon and ultimately the collapse of the empire. Yazdijir III, the last Sasanian king, fled east but was assassinated in 651 CE, marking the definitive end of the Persian imperial era. Yet, the legacy of the Sasanian Empire lived on, deeply influencing Islamic culture, art, governance, and Persian identity for centuries to come. The story of Persia was far from over. It had simply entered a new chapter. In the early 7th century CE, a profound transformation swept across the Middle East, the rise of Islam. From the Arabian Peninsula, a new religious and political force emerged, destined to reshape Persia and the wider region forever. The Arab-Muslim armies, united under the banner of the Rashidun Caliphate, launched swift campaigns beyond Arabia's borders, taking advantage of the weakened Sasanian Empire. Exhausted by years of war with Byzantium and internal turmoil, the Arabs pushed into Persian lands. One of the decisive battles was at Qadisiyah in 636 CE, where Arab forces defeated the Sasanian army. This victory opened the door to the heart of Persia and marked the beginning of the end for the ancient empire. The great Sasanian capital, Ctesiphon, soon fell to the invaders. Although the conquest was brutal, it was also a period of cultural exchange and transformation. Far from erasing Persian identity, the Arab conquest brought Islam to Persia but also allowed Persian culture to flourish in new ways. Persian language, literature, and art blended with Islamic traditions, giving rise to a rich cultural renaissance. Persia became a center of learning, philosophy, and science within the Islamic world. Cities such as Nishapur and Isfahan thrived as hubs of culture and knowledge. Persian poets, scientists, and thinkers left an indelible mark on Islamic civilization, their legacy still celebrated today. From the timeless verses of Rumi to innovations in medicine and astronomy, Persia's influence endured. Even ancient traditions like Nowruz, the Persian New Year, survived and continue to be celebrated, a living link to Persia's imperial past. Though the Persian empires rose and fell across millennia, their legacy remains a vibrant thread woven into the fabric of world history. From governance to culture, from art to architecture, Persia's influence stretches far beyond its ancient borders. Monuments like Persepolis and Pasargadae stand as enduring symbols of Persian grandeur and innovation. Their architectural styles inspired generations of builders across Asia and beyond. Persian artistry, especially in textiles like carpets, remains world-renowned for its exquisite craftsmanship and intricate designs. These traditions echo the creativity nurtured during Persia's imperial golden ages. The Persian language and literature flourished during and after the empires, with poets like Ferdowsi, Hafez, and Rumi whose works continue to captivate readers worldwide. Persian became a lingua franca of culture and diplomacy across much of Asia for centuries. Persian architectural innovations, from grand domes to intricate tile work, influenced Islamic architecture throughout the Middle East, Central Asia, and even India. The Taj Mahal's beauty, for example, owes much to Persian artistic heritage. Today, Persian culture continues to thrive, celebrated globally through festivals like Nowruz, the Persian New Year, a tradition dating back over 2,500 years. It unites millions across countries and cultures in a joyful celebration of renewal and hope. Scholars and archaeologists around the world continue to study Persia's vast history, uncovering new insights into its sophisticated governance, art, and societal contributions. Their discoveries enrich our understanding of human civilization. The story of the Persian Empire is more than a tale of conquest and kings, it is a testament to human ingenuity, cultural fusion, and the enduring power of ideas, a legacy that still inspires the world today. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the history of the Persian Empire, from the visionary leadership of Cyrus the Great to the lasting cultural legacy that still shines today. The Persian Empire was a beacon of innovation, resilience, and cultural fusion, shaping not only its own region but the entire world. Its stories live on in art, poetry, and traditions celebrated by millions worldwide. We invite you to explore more stories from history with us. Until next time, stay curious and keep discovering.